Hi everybody, I'm Symes, and with me as usual is Robin.
Hello, I'm Robin, and that's Kerbal.
Yep.
And this is sound bouncing
Yes.
off your eardrums.
It is, through the miracle of physics.
Physics. Hooray!
Physics, okay, it's been a little while since last time we did this. What with one thing and another, and Christmas, and KSP updating to 0.9, and
Yep, breaking everything.
our game breaking. So, basically, we had to update some mods. There's some exciting new things going on in them, but unfortunately one of the side effects was that effectively our moon base has exploded. So...
It's new, it's improved, really.
But the old ones do tend to explode a bit. But not in an entertaining way, just in a it's no longer there way,
Ah,
sadly. So, anyway, but what we're going to do is forge ahead with our interplanetary off-planet spaceship construction yard thing. And we're going to also get some experience for our Kerbals, which is a new thing in 0.9. So what we're mainly focusing on this time is Kerbal experience and completing some contracts that we were in the process of doing to get more science.
more science,
More science.
but so we can build even bigger rockets.
So we can build even bigger rockets, exactly.
Excellent.
And the first thing that we're going to do is review the contracts that we're going to complete. What we're mainly interested in is the perform experiment ones, like this plant growth one around Kerbin. They're going to bring us a bunch of money and a bunch of science.
The Kerbal there nods as you say that. Yes,
Money,
you will get science.
Gene's all about money, science. So a bunch of money, a bunch of science. We're also going to be doing the plant flag on the moon, surface science data from Minmus and the moon, and the TT-18A launch stability enhancer test, because that's going to be holding the rocket together when it's on the pad. So
Excellent. Yeah, go and see if this works, would you?
So,
Boo! It
here's-
didn't explode.
here's the tour bus
Wow, that is huge.
getting ready to launch, and we've got some new solid rocket boosters on it from
That's the cluster around the outside, is it?
from
How many is there? 8?
There's 8 there from the Space Y Heavy Lifters mod pack. They're fatter solid rocket boosters than the stock ones are, so they have more fuel in them, and so they
More
can burn
oomph.
for longer and with more thrust. So they'll take
On
us
the
up.
Kerbin, on the Kerbals there, doing a bit of a dance. He's
Yep.
all excited.
So what we've got in this, there's actually there's a standard 3 Kerbal capsule on the top, and
Yep.
2 hitchhiker modules underneath, which can hold 4 Kerbals each. So we're taking 11 Kerbals on a tour
To the moon,
to the
or
moon,
somewhere.
and well, to Minmus first,
Yeah.
and then
And
to
we're
the
up.
moon, and we're away. And the boosters are all boosting,
Yep.
as is their purpose. Yeah, so 3 pilots in the top, and 8 engineers in the hitchhiker modules. Actually, no, I think we've got 6 engineers, 1 scientist, and another pilot in the bottom. It's the crew that was available on the spaceport at the time.
You there? What are you doing? Oh, I'm just trying to get my biscuit out of this vending machine. Get on that spaceship now.
It's mostly engineers because skilled engineers make the moon base stuff work better.
Yeah, because skills have come in now, haven't they?
Yes, so and the more people are using them in that way, so skilled
Oh,
engineers.
solid rocket boost is about to run out already.
Yep. Well, we're nearly
Yeah,
at
we're only at
6,000 years,
6K.
so I mean
Yeah.
that's about right. It's not a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
Just kick them off.
Discard. Whee! Oh, I like the little jets on them. That's quite
Yes,
cool.
that's another thing that came with the heavy lifters pack. Separators with built-in little solid rocket engines to
Built-in
thrust.
whoosh.
Yep, exactly. Whoosh, as you so rightly say. And one of the other things we've
That's a
got.
technical term. And you
At
can
the
still
bottom
see
here.
the smoke from one of them below us, or is that our smoke?
There's a big trail of smoke coming out from our rocket, so I don't think we can see
Yeah.
them anymore. But we've also
Yeah.
got a three-way stack adapter at the bottom.
It does look a bit wobbly.
From 3.75 meters, which is the fuel tanks, to 3 2.5 meter engines. So we've got 3 mainsails on the bottom of here for a
The
mighty,
Kerbals look utterly
a
terrified.
mighty 4.5 million newtons of thrust. And yeah, they are a bit scared.
They are utterly terrified. They're screaming their pants off. It's the little things.
Yeah, and they're so I have no idea what their courage rating is. It's probably not very high.
Yeah, as I say, 20 minutes ago they were trying to open a vending machine.
That's
Now they're going to space.
Look, I just wandered in looking for a snack.
And you strapped me into this
You
chair.
just pointed me at this thing, said, "What's that?" And I said, "Is it a rocket?" And you said, "Good enough. You can be a pilot." So we're nosing over. There's a little bit of rotation been induced somewhere.
Seem to have calmed down a bit now.
Yes, we're nosing over for
Yeah, obviously the drugs have kicked in.
circularisation. No, kind of going, oh, it's actually quite pretty down there.
Yeah, it's a nice view.
And then something seems to have gone
horribly wrong.
awry.
Oh dear.
So, yeah. I mean, I did promise you explosions, so
That was
I promised there would be more
unfortunate.
explosions. Or I said there would be undoubtedly more explosions. And first
The
mission
Kerbals
of
are
the
alright,
new year.
they're just completely stuck.
Yeah, they're stranded there now. But luckily, this was just a quote simulation.
Yes, just a simulation.
I think the autopilot doing its little thing shook the ship to pieces because the engines had too much thrust. So instead, we launched again with a slightly modified one, which had slightly less powerful engines, and the ship stayed together. So now we're just doing
Everything's
a transfer
alright.
out to Minmus. Just like setting
That's
up.
the closest moon, isn't it?
Minmus is the furthest one, and the reason I
Alright.
chose the furthest one first is because it has
Yeah.
much lower gravity. So the ship, when it's like mostly full of fuel, will take
Yeah.
less fuel to land and take off on it. It might
Ah.
be. It might make no difference at all, but that's why I chose to do it.
So we're going to mine that one.
Well, yes, that's the idea, but not right now. This is just the tour. They're just
Yeah.
gonna go and land and stick some flags in it, and so
I liked it so much we stuck a flag on it.
stand by for throttle up.
Ooh. So we've got a lot of fuel on this thing.
It's there's enough fuel to go to Minmus and back to Kerbin orbit, and then out to the moon and back without having
And
to stop
overheat
off
very rapidly as well.
and refuel. Well, yes, it's like a cluster of 5 nuclear engines there. They're going to get quite warm.
Yeah, there's not much heat dissipation in space.
No, indeed there isn't. It's radiation only.
Yeah.
So we go behind Kerbin and it gets a bit dark. This is running somewhat faster than normal speed because this burn took 4.5 minutes. And I thought, we don't really need to sit through an entire 4.5 minute burn
No,
because where's the
that would
fun
be a
in
bit
that?
too... No, going whoosh. You can only make whoosh noises for so long.
Well, exactly.
Whoosh,
Whoosh.
whoosh.
So this is just about done. So the engine's shut off. It does a little correction. Lines up for plane change burn in the middle of the orbit. Whee. That's it. And now we're on approach to Minmus.
Whee.
And I'm just fiddling around with stuff, going, what's happening? Don't know. So we have a look around. We wait to get into Minmus's sphere of influence. which
It's
we are
coming
now
at us.
in, and then we I do a little bit inclination change to try and get us equatorial.
Yeah,
which it almost
technical terms
manages.
here.
Yeah, it's going to try and as close to orbiting around the equator as possible. It's not going to quite be there, but as close as we can.
Yeah.
And then a
What's that?
circularization.
Oh, it's a moon. So it's a lot more lumpy than the other one.
Yes, it's much smaller, so
Ah, yeah. So
gross
if it's
terrain
smaller,
features show
Yeah.
up more.
yeah. The larger things are, the rounder they are.
Yep.
At least,
and
at
now-
least that's how my belly feels, anyway.
Yes. And now we're in orbit, so we're going to land somewhere. I'm picking a target somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where we land.
This
so
is
it's-
where the death laser will go.
So I kind of go. I want to land somewhere where we haven't already landed, so we can get some science benefit from being there as well. So I'm kind of going. What about over here? Over here.
Over there.
Not sure. Okay, fine. There. On the Great Flats.
What are those little blue jiggling points?
It's just the orbit indicators moving around because when the apoapsis and periapsis are almost the same, they occasionally swap places.
Oh,
It's,
right.
it's just it jiggles when due to inaccuracy in the calculations and stuff. It's nothing to worry about. So now with deorbiting, flying in towards the Great Flats, which is right here.
Handy.
just slam the brakes on. But I really like Minmus because the gravity's so low, it's very, very forgiving.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter if you're not that perfect of a landing, because it's fine. And also, the flats really are flat.
Flatter than flat.
They're very flat. The slopes, obviously, are quite slopey, but the flats are flat. Unlike the moon, which has very, very commonly got a bit of a slope on almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're slowing down, braking for a landing.
Throw out the anchor.
Yeah. Coming in the dark, but we've got some ambient light turned on so we can still see.
So you can still see what the hell is going on.
We drop the landing legs. The ambient light thing seems to make a bit of a yellow glow come off the fuel lines, which is a bit odd, but whatever.
Yeah, I've got a nice little green light near the top as well there.
Yeah, I think that's the autopilot. It's green because it's currently doing stuff.
Little light comes on. Yes, I'm working. Hooray!
Operational.
Yeah.
And then we're just
Oh, the
dropping
Kerbals
in.
have started screaming again.
They're going,
Oh no, they actually look happy.
Yeah, they're smiling, I think. Going, this is so exciting. Haven't actually done anything
we
yet.
don't explode.
And we'll come in and land very nice and slowly. Landing, 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 landing.
20, 15 metres.
12 and doink. And at this point,
that was very smooth.
kind of go, there seems to be a bit of a flaw in the design of this craft, in that the landing legs are not touching the ground. Because,
Never mind.
you know, I redesigned this thing a few times, and originally it had a single large engine in the middle, and then I put a 5-way engine adapter on to get a bit more thrust, which obviously added some height to the engines, and I didn't adjust the legs to take it into account. But it's fine, you know, it looks okay. Now all the Kerbals are going to jump out and plant flags, and because there are 11 of them, we're kind of just going through this pretty quickly.
Flag City.
So it's like a little forest.
Why are they
of
all
flags.
planting flags? Is it just because
In order to get
you
experience.
get for each one? Ah, right.
Because they have to plant the flag themselves to get experience for planting a flag, so that's why they're all doing it. And so slapping flags willy-nilly into the surface of Minmus. I'll actually give them quite, well, what I thought at the time were quite amusing names, and I ran out of amusing names and just started naming them after the Kerbals that planted them. And that's all the flags done. We've taken surface samples as well, which we did very quickly so you couldn't really see.
Yep.
And we've got
getting back in again now.
EVA reports from the surface, so the pilots get back into the top. Everyone else climbs in to the hitchhiker modules. There seems to be a little bit of a bug which propels them up the ladder on the top one. I don't really know what's going on there, but it's fine. And they're in.
Excellent.
And set an orbit altitude, tell the thing to take off, and engage autopilot. And we're away.
Goodbye, flags.
Quick trip to Minmus. It was actually a really long trip. But it went by very quickly when I sped it up 15 times. So, yeah,
How
now
long
we're
does it
going
actually took to get out there then, roughly?
well, in actual Kerbal time, it's an 8-day trip between Kerbin and Minmus.
Blimey.
But obviously we time accelerated through that.
Yeah.
But it took maybe 15-20 minutes to get everybody out and plant flags and back into the ship. So, you know, you don't need
Slightly tedious.
to sit through
Yeah. Nah.
So back to
Oh,
orbit.
it's a nice bit of galaxy cluster over there.
Yeah, there's a little
Yeah, it's nice.
band of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're back in orbit. And here we are in orbit, and we're going to set up for a return. Return to Kerbin. Go!
Do.
And thrust. Oh, wait. Wait, let's the
Turn.
right place. Turn, then thrust.
Get round to the right point.
Oh, there's Kerbin in the background. You can see the moon there on the right, actually, as well, behind it.
Oh yeah.
It's a tiny
Yeah,
little
that's-
speck, which is
Yeah,
now
just-
completely obliterated by the rocket trail.
Yeah. It doesn't look like we're going the right way at all.
No, that's the weird thing about space travel.
Yeah.
It's
You've
like,
got to aim for where something's going to
aim
be.
for where it's going to be and allow for the fact that you're going to be pulled along by gravity. Because all we're actually doing is getting out of Minmus's gravity field.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And firing ourselves in an arc to get round.
yes, here's our
Meanwhile, back
space
on the moon
station,
base,
which is a
Hooray.
science station which has been doing experiments, which are those other
which
contracts.
hasn't exploded.
It hasn't.
Hurrah.
No, this one's fine.
Yeah.
So we've finished doing the 3 experiments for those 3 contracts which are in that ship at the bottom. I'm about to start off another experiment that's there just to keep hoovering up the science as much as we can. And then we'll detach the ship from the bottom of the station and bring it back.
Just fire it at the Earth. At Kerbin, rather.
Decouple node. Boink. And we've decoupled.
And
This ship has an autopilot on it as well, so we're just thrusting away.
there it goes.
Thrusting away a little bit with the RCS to get some distance.
Are the other Kerbals still on the way back during this?
Yes, as I said, it's an 8-day trip, and they've only just started, so
Yeah.
there's enough time to do this without worrying about them particularly.
Yeah.
Because this will take like a couple of hours of Kerbal time at most.
Yeah.
So now we begin to deorbit. And now we're deorbiting.
Whee!
Coming in now.
Nice view there. Sunrise
sun
coming
comes
up.
up.
Lovely blue haze.
Blue haze in the atmosphere in the background.
Yes, rather pretty.
Ship whizzing down from the sky.
Atmosphere at any moment.
Yep, about to plunge into the deeper part of the atmosphere and start getting some lovely red effects. And what I told it to do, I don't know if you saw me do that, but I told
That's
the
good.
autopilot to land at the KSC pad. It actually says there on the left, that's the target that's been set. So the autopilot's going to try and take us down right at the space centre.
Blimey.
Yes,
Maximum recovery.
exactly.
Is that just below us now, or is that way,
On
way,
the
way
little-
ahead?
Little isthmus that's sticking out there has this.
Oh, yeah, you can see it.
You can make it out. There's the runway.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Coming in on target.
Yeah, we have to drop quite violently. So.
Yes. I mean, this craft does have parachutes, and the autopilot will deploy them. It just has. So the parachutes will help to slow us down.
Yeah. Still got quite a lot of forward momentum.
Yes.
But looks like we're plunging now.
We're moving very much towards the vertical. Horizontal speed is dropping right off. So I'm kind of adjusting the view so we can see. Well, it looks like we're dropping right on top of the pad. So
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Obviously the autopilot's calculated that very well. And we'll hit 500. When we hit 500 meters, the parachutes will deploy fully. We are coming down quite fast.
Yeah, I say just as well. We're coming down quite quickly.
I have to turn the time acceleration on the video off. And whoops. So yeah, as it turns out, the amount of force induced on the ship when the parachutes opened was enough to tear it in half.
Oh.
Yes. And the bit that fell off was the bit that had all of the experiments attached to it.
Dope.
So, let's maybe try that again. See if we can do it better this time.
Maybe brake at a higher altitude
Yeah,
and float more.
Something like that, yes. So,
Yeah.
So I've deployed the parachutes a bit earlier this time. Turned the
Take
autopilot
two.
off, in fact.
Yeah.
And what I'm also going to do is use the rocket engine to slow us down because we've got some fuel left. So I abort the auto land there and kick the rocket engine in. What that means is we will not land directly at the pad because I've adjusted the trajectory by kicking the rocket in, but it might mean that we won't explode, which is arguably more important. So, still burning, still descending. Ship's really hard to control when there's gravity and parachutes and a rocket engine all fighting each other. So we're not going to land at the pad because you can see that, but I'm trying to adjust it now so it goes towards the pad a bit more. but we're like less than half the speed we were going the last time the parachute's deployed, so we are good. Ship is intact.
It's still pretty close though. Yep, nothing has exploded.
Nothing's exploded so far, so we come down, and I kick the rocket engines up again, slow us down a bit more, and we land. Boink.
Still no explosions.
No explosions, and we landed right next to one of the dishes at the tracking station, so...
Excellent.
We covered the
Without
ship.
blowing anything else up.
Lots of science. Look at all the science we've got there. Pilots get some experience, but we've got 5,791 science. You know what we should do with that? Should spend it. Science! Right. Let's buy some stuff.
Yay.
So, Space
buy a
Y
big hat.
adds a whole load of stuff in experimental rocketry, which is huge.
Yep.
Huge engines, big 5-meter diameter fuel tanks, all that business. Heavy lifters,
Sounds groovy.
great big rocket boosters. So we're going to buy that. That's 1,000 science.
That's a lot.
It is, but we're having it anyway.
It says don't take experimental lightly.
A bunch of stuff in the experimental and nano lathing, which is again, just more big 5-meter things in Space Y, and the electromagnet from CAS. Thrust plates and adapters, so we'll have that. And kind of, let's just fill some gaps in. All of this stuff for space planes that we've never used.
Science.
Buy all that. Buy automation to get large probe cores. What do I end up in here? Buy that, and then some more
Point and click. Point and click.
some more electronics, advanced science technology, why not? And now that's it, we've got 331 left, we can't afford anything else.
Yeah. 0.4.
Oh, sorry. Do please forgive me for...
That may get us a
imprecision.
research institute biscuit.
True.
Yeah.
So we've bought all that stuff, and we'll use that at some point later on. But this, going back a bit old
That's a
school,
bit stubby.
is a small satellite that we're going to send to Minmus. So it doesn't require very much power to lift it, so we're using all small stuff.
It's going to Minmus.
It is.
That's quite a way.
We're going to scan Minmus for materials.
Is it what we're sending is basically that little bit of tin on the top?
It's everything. See where it narrows, just above the fuel tanks. That's where the transfer stage engine is. So
Yeah.
Everything from that point up is going to Minmus. Everything
Right.
below that is the lifter to get into orbit. But yeah, we're using the smallest solid rocket boosters we have, and a little T-45 engine, like we used to use back in the day.
Memories.
'Cause
So many
it's
explosions.
It's just a satellite. It really doesn't need very much at all. It's very light.
It just needs to go beep a lot.
Well, exactly. And as such, not very much thrust, can just still hurtle it upwards really quickly.
Yeah, we're up pretty quite fast there. I mean, we're up 10k with the
Yeah, close to it.
solid thrust. Yeah, zooming away.
Yeah. So this satellite is going to scan for ore and minerals and substrate and water and uraninite, which is used for making uranium for nuclear reactors.
So we know where to land when we send up our
Yes,
moon base.
and it's got a carbonite scanner on it as well.
Okay.
And the new colonization system stuff, you don't actually need carbonite as well to make rocket fuel anymore, which is quite cool. But we still have it, so we might use both.
Right.
Because the new stuff will refine rocket fuel from water. So anyway, we circularise this orbit to get the lifter prepared for the transfer. That's that done. And then we put the solar panels out so the probe doesn't run out of power, because that would be really, really embarrassing. Have it sway around a bit, and then we detach it from the lifter and send it out to Minmus. And bear in mind that the tour bus is still on its way back at this point.
Yeah.
So now you can see there's two things showing up on the map there. and then I kind of went fast forward and got the two of us back to Kerbin.
And then suddenly, whoa,
Hey,
planet.
we're at Kerbin.
Well, moon, rather.
No, this is at Kerbin.
All right.
We go back to Kerbin and then go out to the moon from there. I don't know if it would have been easier or take less thrust to go directly to the moon from Minmus. I think it depends very much on where they are in their orbits and how clever you are, and I'm not that clever.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is slowing down into Kerbin orbit, and then this is arriving at Minmus, and it's establishing a Minmus orbit.
Excellent.
But we need a polar orbit in order to do our scanning most effectively, so doing a plane change. And now I'm setting it up, and you open the payload, because it's got bay doors on it. And inside there is a carbonite scanner.
Hey.
So you can see there's like 0.4% in the crust at this point, and we deploy the planetary survey camera. And right underneath us at the moment there's a reasonable, not a huge set of stuff, but there's no water there. So this is not an ideal location. So we're going to have to keep scanning and see if another one is better.
So it's just going to drift over and around and around.
Yeah, and it'll like build up a map and stuff, which will be coming.
Oh, our Kerbals are still on the way back here. Is this them?
This is them now doing the burn to leave Kerbin and head for the moon.
Yay!
Yay, moon. Because I sort of drastically over-designed this craft so it wouldn't need to refuel. Just because I didn't want to take the time to do it. It's like, no, we can just go there and back and there and back. So now we're burning out to the moon. And there's our orbit. It's doing a little mid-transfer course correction
Ping.
to bring us in nicely to the moon. And I set an alarm to remind me when the tour bus is going to arrive at the moon, because then it takes you out of warp automatically. That's a Kerbal alarm clock, which I should start using more, because it's quite
handy.
helpful. And just the periapsis of the orbit, and then sectorize it. We're going through a lot of this stuff quite quickly, but it's mainly, it's all stuff it's all the stuff that the autopilot's doing, and it's all stuff we've done over and over again in the past, so we don't really need to go into too much detail about it. And now, picking a landing site, somewhere we haven't already landed, so this crater here looks good. Try and slap it down somewhere near the equator, so it's easy.
That is a honky great big crater.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Massive. So now we're going to do a little plane change to get us over. There's the right orbit. I think that blue thing in the background maybe is the Hercules tug just orbiting the moon, where we left it. We'll come into use again later on.
Look, Kerbal's having a bit of a scream there.
Going, what's happening? Don't like it.
What are we actually meant to be doing? Are we meant to be using these controls?
Oh, do
no!
any of these levers actually do anything?
They've all been disabled.
Why is there no vending machine? I was promised a snack. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're coming in on this huge great crater. Possibly nearly as big as Minmus, I don't know.
Yeah.
The east far side crater.
Chugga, chugga, chugga.
Yeah. So where else? We're getting there. It's like, now we're going to...
This one at least
Zoom in
looks
to the
like it'll
braking
probably
bit.
stand up.
That's the idea, but it's, it's still going to have to land on the engines, so
Yeah.
as long as we land somewhere reasonably flat, we should be fine.
Nothing should possibly go
There's
wrong.
no possible way that it could go
Anything
wrong
will explode.
at all.
Again.
We've had 2 explosions already. Surely that is our
It's
limit.
our explosion limit.
It'll all be fine. Just keep
As the
telling
engines
yourself
overheat. Yep.
that. All right, we're
The Kerbals look happy.
Yeah, they're always happier when they're landing than when they're coming in to land. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're like 700 meters up now, coming down on this
Large grey
Perhaps-
expanse of grey.
ominously slopey looking piece of land.
Yep.
Yes, That's quite
might be a bit of a
than I was hoping for.
Could be an issue.
So let's come in. We're going to touch down. That's like 33 to 40 degrees of slope.
Yeah.
And we touch down, and the engine's shut off, and the ship immediately falls over.
Oops.
And starts sliding down the hill.
Whee!
The Kerbals are really enjoying it, actually. This is brilliant. We never told us this was going to be part of the ride. So I hit on the brilliant idea of thrusting the ship down the slope to the bottom to see if I could turn it upright again. But of course I get impatient, so thrust it too hard, and then
everything goes bang, boom.
Just, again, things go somewhat awry. And, but again, the Kerbals all seem to have survived, which is good. Just every other part of the ship seems to have exploded.
Oh, it nearly went back up the right way there.
Yeah, it's bouncing in a really weird way.
Yeah.
So I went, I'm not happy with this. I might want to try that again and maybe pick a landing site with a bit more care.
Yeah. Somewhere a bit flatter and less prone to causing things to explode.
Less explodey, exactly.
Yeah.
So I picked another landing site and we came in for a landing again.
Is that honky big crater behind us again?
Yeah. And this... Because there's so many craters on the moon surface, the moon is actually not very cratery at all. It's got like hills and flats, but there's not a lot of like impact mark on it.
Yes.
Because there's so many craters on the moon, there's so much like ejector and crater lips and stuff. There's hills everywhere.
Yeah.
So I picked this spot, which was actually quite low down.
Looking a bit flatter.
In the hope that it'd be flatter, and indeed it is quite a lot flatter.
Excellent.
Slightly slopey. There's a little bit of a wobble at the end, but we're okay. Hurrah! And now, again, everyone jumps out to dump flags, and I ran out of flag names entirely, and I just named them F1 to F11, I think. Because, like, no. Oh no, I named the last, said that's Moon Landing Site Gamma for that one. So we'll leave that one there and probably just delete all the rest later.
Flags everywhere.
Flag City.
Someone back on Kerbin is making flags and going, ha ha ha,
Yep.
my million is made.
Right. It's like put in an order to the local flag shop.
Yeah.
Right, so go up. Bounces off the top of the capsule
Steady.
and grabs onto the ladder, which is a bit of a there's a bit of a thing that sometimes happens apparently. Everyone else gets in fine.
Excellent.
Jump.
Boing.
Jump. Right, so they've all planted their flags. They've done their little tour. Now it's time to go home.
Yeah, 8 days to fly here, 30 seconds to jump out, stick a flag in, get back in again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not so bad. To get to the moon in a matter of hours. Minmus takes 8 days to get to. The moon is hours rather than that. But this is a 20-day mission so far.
All right.
8 days to Minmus, 8 days back again. But we're taking off from the moon again, and unlike one of my previous designs, this ship actually can take off from the moon. Rather than just bumping along just above the surface for ages.
That's not quite so good.
But this one's, and again, because the moon's gravity is so much higher, I decided to go here second because there's much less fuel weighing the ship down here.
Yeah.
That was my idea anyway. So now just do up in the circular eyes.
Do the time warp again.
Merber seemed to be doing some headbanging there. Don't know. They seem to be getting a bit stressed out now.
Yeah, there's some extreme screaming going on there. Chuck especially looks particularly perturbed.
I don't know what's happening, and there are still no snacks. Okay, and we're in orbit. Hooray.
And we've still got fuel left. This is also good.
Enough fuel, perhaps, to make it back. So I say, right, make a maneuver.
That's hopeful.
Whoosh. Doesn't take a lot to get out that way. Escape from the moon, so that's done.
It's not got a massive gravity, is it?
So I kind of decided to try the landing autopilot and see how well it would work from a vastly elliptical orbit like this. You know, and in retrospect, testing a new thing out that I'd never tried before with 11 crew on board Maybe not the wisest idea. But so the landing autopilot doesn't seem to like very elliptical orbits very much. It burns for a very, very long time. And the orbit kind of goes a bit crazy. And it actually reverses the direction of the orbit altogether. That's how long it burned for. And it turns around and burns in the other direction and does it back.
That's not looking good, because we're running out of...
Yeah. It does that. It just burns that way for a while. And then... And it's like, you see, it's like we're 400 kilometers away from the target, so it turns around and burns a little bit in the other direction. And it just basically spins around altogether, burning, and burns the other way a bit. Goes, I'm not sure. Still not sure.
Where am I meant to be going?
Go this way.
I don't know.
Target difference is going up. And then it's out of fuel. So, alright, well, we're going in hot then. That's what's happening here. Deploy the parachutes as soon as possible to get as much slow down as we can from...
I'm not sure that's really a good idea. Tumbling all over the place there.
So we're going in
the Kerbals
very,
don't look that
very
funny,
hot.
They're really lucky nothing exploded there.
Yeah, well, I don't have any mods currently that do damage from re-entry happily, otherwise the entire ship would have been destroyed by that.
Yeah. It would have been toasted like a small biscuit.
And again, at this point, I'm kind of going, well, the other ship exploded when the parachute's deployed, so I hope this one doesn't. Because it's still going quite fast at this point.
It is, yeah.
But it seems like maybe 100 meters a second is the magic speed, because we're below that now, and they deploy, and it doesn't explode. Hurrah!
No one dies.
Successful, not exploding this time.
And no fuel left as well. How efficient.
And then we land, and we recover the ship. Back to the space centre. And we get some science for all the stuff we did, so that's cool. We've got 1780 science now, which we'll spend later.
That's a lot of science.
It is, from going to Minimus and also from the contracts that we completed. We recover the ship, 65% value, it's not too bad. And all of the crew get experience, so then they're all now level 2.
Hooray! They can now find secret doors.
And backstab. Learn fireball.
They're engineers, not managers.
Oh yes, true. So yeah, so we completed the 3 science data from Surface of Minimus and Plant Flag on the Moon contracts, so we get some extra stuff for that. And that is the whirlwind tour of the Kerbin system.
Yeah.
So now we've got some engineers who are level 2. They can operate bases with greater effectiveness. And what
they can make even better vending machines.
Yes. So we will next time.
Now, objective to get a vending machine on the moon.
Yes. So next time we'll probably look at the results from scanning Minimus. We'll find a good spot to land there, and we'll see about sending some base components there to try and start making rocket parts.
So we can then try and go and find ourselves an asteroid.
Make rockets, yes. So the idea, I think, is we build a ground base which does mining and refining, and also is capable of building rockets. And then the ground base builds the space station and a lifter to lift it into orbit around Minimus. And the space station can then also build rockets, so it then builds everything else that we need to build.
Excellent.
That's my plan. At some point we'll probably adjust the tour bus so it can carry a bit more fuel and send someone off to another planet as well. Because why not?
No, other planets in this, any of the planets in the system inhabitable?
Well, they all have their spacesuits on at all times, so
right.
We're not using any life support mods or anything, so nobody will die from lack of food or oxygen.
That's a good thing.
So yeah, we can send people off. There's, as I think we've said before, there is a Juno window coming up at day, I think, 223 of year 1.
No, right.
So in about 130 days,
you can have a go at that.
We'll have a launch window for Juno, and we should probably have built some ships in orbit by then.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week. The other thing we'll start doing once we're going into planetary is not cramming entire missions into a single episode, because there just won't be time.
Yeah.
It was difficult enough this time. So we'll break them up. So anyway, tune in next week for Minimus space stuff, probably.
Possibly more explosions.
Who knows? I thought I'd got over my tendency to make things explode, but apparently I was wrong.
I can't say I'm complaining. It is entertaining. The Kerbins probably they had the great slide down the hill. So
Yeah, they were really enjoying the slides, so it was like,
yeah,
maybe we should make a theme park on the moon or something for them.
yeah, that's definitely the way to go.
Alright, at some point, lunar theme park as well.
Yep.
Alright, well, that's it for us for now. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Toodaloo.
Bye!
Bye.